Welcome to Shawnee Union, and this week we're going to talk about pinhole cameras. What are they? What is pinhole? And then how do you do it? So what is pinhole photography? Pinhole photography is when you use a special type of lens, a pinhole lens. And to explain it, I'll explain a normal lens. So this is a 50mm f1.8, a very popular normal lens. And the size of the lens opening is pretty big. It's determined by the camera film format or the sensor size, but it's pretty large. But on this camera, you're going to see it's literally that little hole right there. The name pinhole comes from how the method they do it. A lot of people just get a piece of metal, usually aluminum, sometimes brass, get a pin and just poke the pin within and to make the lens. So that's the lens. Remember I said the aperture on this is f1.8. The aperture on a pinhole is in the hundreds. So this one is f132 on the Ondu. So why should people try pinhole photography? Well, it's pretty experimental and it's pretty fun. I'm not going to talk about digital pinhole photography, but when using film like this. And when you use it with film, you're kind of pushing the film. So one thing to know about pinhole photography that's different than other photography is film works within standards. So when film is open for a second, it reacts in a certain way. But when it's open longer than that, longer than a second, there's something called reciprocity failure. And reciprocity failure, the simplest explanation is the longer the film is open, the less sensitive it is. So you have to keep your camera open for that much longer to get the shot. So a normal shot with a normal lens like this could take 1/10 of a second or 1/100th of a second. The same thing with a pinhole. It could take 4 to 5 minutes or even up to hours. So you get some pretty cool images when you open your camera for an hour, and I'll put some up. So when you open your camera for an hour, you'll get a lot of blurring, you'll get a lot of fading, and then you also just get stuff you can't control. So that's why people are so into pinhole photography. There's less control and there's just a lot of magic with it and a lot of experimentation. So what kind of tools are you going to need to do pinhole photography? First of all, you're going to need film. I recommend two types. T-Max 400, which is a very stable, very usable film. And then Kodak Ektar 2, which is, I had some really great results with these cameras. In terms of cameras, you can get a nicer thing like this, the Ondu, which is made out of wood and metal and brass. It's very nice, very cool to use. But you can also just get a homemade one or a cheaper one. The quality level between the two is not going to be that much because for cameras, you're really paying for lenses, and the lenses is basically a hole in a piece of metal. So this one may be a little bit easier to use than this one. It costs probably 10 times more. But this one probably takes just as good as pictures because it's a pinhole camera. You're also going to need something sturdy to put your camera on, so I would recommend getting a small tripod. This is a GorillaPod. It's pretty versatile. The good thing about the GorillaPod is it has a level on it, on its head. So this one has a level, but this one doesn't. The last thing you're going to need is to figure out your exposure times, and you can look at the film manufacturer's times, but I found that the Ondu instructions, I'll put a link to it and put the picture up, and I may just put the times on the thing, but the Ondu instructions are actually really clear and really useful. So I use those instructions and their recommended times, and it worked perfectly fine. You're also going to need a phone because you're going to need a timer and to time your exposures. A lot of them are going to be over a minute, so if they are going to be over a minute, you're going to just have to have a timer with you. So what's the process of shooting pinhole? Well, once you got everything set up, you got your film in your camera, you have your tripod, kind of just, if I'm going to take a picture of this camera, set it up, sure everything's level, figure out my time, and then once I know my time, basically just pull up on this guy, and that's the shutter. So you pull up, you wait the set amount of time you need to wait, and then when you're done, you close it. Then you just advance it like you would a normal medium format camera. That's basically it. The most important part is keeping it steady. So you have to have some type of tripod or some type of device that can keep the camera very steady, since the shutter is going to be open for a very long period of time. Couple of tips on composition. I think things that look really good shot with pinholes are lakes, water. Anything actually near water is actually really cool because it smooths it out and makes it look really kind of dreamy. And I also think having your horizon line a little bit higher. So if you have it too low and you get too much of the sky, if the sky's removing, it's cool, but if they're not, it looks kind of flat and dull. So I think having a long horizon line. So since the pinholes are actually pretty wide lenses, you're gonna have to shoot a little bit differently, and it takes some time to figure out how to get those compositions. But in general, I would say a higher horizon line and then shooting near water. Everything near water just looks way cooler on a pinhole. I hope you guys enjoyed that video on pinhole photography. It's a really different type of photography, and if you want to experiment with stuff, it's one of the funnest things to do. I love getting my development back from pinhole because you just never know what you're gonna get. I do a lot of film techniques and film reviews on this channel, so please check back. There's a subscribe button below, and if you like this video, please like it. If you have any comments on this video or want to see other types of film photography techniques, let me know, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys. See ya. Bye. Hope you guys enjoyed that video on pinhole photography. It's a really cool type of photography, and if you have a digital, come on.